Hi class, this is Brittany, and today I'm going to talk about something that is probably a part of all of our lives. Did you know that most Americans are taking drugs daily? 90% of Americans consume a psychoactive drug on a daily basis. That's right, caffeine is the most commonly consumed psychoactive drug in America. Think back to the last caffeinated beverage that you had. If you had to guess, how many have you consumed in the last 24 hours? I usually start my day with a nice cup of coffee. My husband won't leave the house with anything less than 3 cups of coffee. The chart that I've provided shows you the average consumption of America. You'll notice that most American adults consume between 125 milligrams and 200 milligrams of caffeine daily. You might also notice on this chart that children as young as 6 are consuming caffeine in products like chocolate and soda. We may not feel the damaging effects of 2 to 3 caffeinated beverages a day, but the research suggests that it can be dangerous. So how do we know if we're putting our health at risk? First, we need to understand what caffeine is and what effects it produces. In a recent article titled Medicines in My Home, the FDA stated that caffeine was not only a food additive, but also a drug. Caffeine can be found naturally occurring in over 60 plants. 2 examples are coffee beans and cola nuts. The FDA not only stated that caffeine was a drug, but also labeled it as a central nervous system stimulant in a classification called amphetamines. Some other common amphetamines are cocaine and methamphetamine. The central nervous system is composed of your brain, spinal cord, and other nerves around your body. I've provided a picture that details the central nervous system and talks about some of the ways it may be affected. You'll notice in the picture that caffeine consumption and overdose can affect frequent urination, heart rate, sensitivity to pain, and many other processes in your body. Like other drugs, caffeine can create a tolerance. Tolerance occurs when you consume a drug on a daily basis and you eventually require more of that drug to achieve similar effects. The 2013 DSM-5 officially recognized caffeine withdrawal syndrome, according to the American Psychiatric Association. So we know that caffeine is a drug, but what forms are we consuming it in? Caffeine comes in many forms, and they are not all equal. Some forms are chocolate and soda, like we discussed. These can contain anywhere from 15 to 50 milligrams of caffeine. Other forms can be found on the Voice Council chart that I've provided. You'll notice that popular energy drinks have the majority of caffeine. The beverage at the top of the list contains almost 250 milligrams of caffeine in one bottle. Many of us are guilty of consuming 1 or 2 energy drinks a day. So why is this so dangerous? A popular practice is to add artificial and natural sweeteners to caffeinated beverages. The sweeteners provide a sweeter taste, decreasing the bitter taste produced by caffeine. When caffeine becomes less bitter, it becomes easier to consume. The bitter taste of caffeine is nature's way of telling us to take it easy with that product. The National Center for Biotechnology talks about excessive caffeine consumption and how it can lead to caffeine intoxication, causing tachycardia, cardiac arrhythmias, seizures, and even death. Caffeine can also exacerbate pre-existing mental health conditions. If you have a mental health condition that you're unaware of, caffeine consumption may produce symptoms of that mental disorder. If you know that you have mental health in your family, you might want to be cautious with the caffeine that you consume. I'm not by any means trying to demonize caffeine. Let's take a quick look at some of its positive effects. Research by Tanya Todd states that the caffeine in about 3 cups of coffee resulted in increased anaerobic metabolism with long-distance runners. It also increased sports performance. She also states that caffeine constricts blood vessels, relieving headaches. You might have noticed that caffeine is added to many common pain relievers. The caffeine increases the effective rate of the pain relievers by up to 40%. It helps the body more easily absorb the medication. Caffeine can have both positive and negative effects. It's up to us to decide how much caffeine is good for our bodies. I hope with the information that I've provided, you've taken something away from it and you'll become more intentional about your health. If you know that you have pre-existing mental health conditions in your family, please be careful with the amount of caffeine that you consume. In the words of Jim Rohn, let's take care of our bodies. They're the only place that we have to live. Thank you.